Alrighty then, it's time for a jungle Nasus game, and this game is with homies. Which one? So it's a normal game, okay? You're gonna see a few silly things right off the bat. And that's 2 Zed and 2 Yasuo. It's a normal game. And now, just to make sure you guys understand this, I say voice check at the beginning so I can match up the audio with the video. Anyways, runes and masteries: attack damage red, attack damage quints, armor yellow, match resistance blues with some cooldown reduction blues in there, and 9, 2, 1, 0 masteries. Now, I want you to notice one thing with Nasus. For most of the camps, or mostly the big camps, I'm taking only 2 kills with my Q. I try to just make this quickly. On the wolves, it's rather easy because you can control how they die rather easily. On the chickens, it's a little bit more difficult, but on that, I get at least 3 Q kills. And of course, the chicken counts as 2. And again, on the Krugs, it's rather easier. But again, the big camps and the chickens, which have more and they die at different rates, different speeds, you're mostly going to lose one or 2 kills on whatever. The point of this is, some people try to take every minion, every monster with their Q, and it slows them down considerably. And that's rather not the right way to approach it. I know maxing out your Q is important, but if you slow yourself down, you'll theoretically lose more Q stacks, because you could have just gone to the other camp and farmed that with your Q and just made the respawns come out quicker. Now, one of the things that makes Nasus, or used to make Nasus, a god jungler was the insane amounts of value in his kit. He still has it, but back then he had a lot more ease of use with it. I'll explain the ease of use in a little bit. If you look at all his skills by themselves, they have immense amounts of value. His Q can stack infinitely. That's pretty much free damage whenever you actually stack it up. So that's insanely good. His W is a massive cripple. Basically, anyone who relies on attack speed and everybody who uses movement speed, which is everybody, gets absolutely destroyed by it. Use it on a Caitlyn, and she's next to useless. His E is an armor shred, one of my favorite abilities in the game. It's just so chock full of value, and against some team compositions or with some kind of champions, it destroys them. And his ultimate is a lot of health and a lot of free damage. So you can see he's got a lot of monetary value in his kit. He's still rather expensive as a jungler because you need, or a champion in general, because you need a lot of gold, but that helps alleviate some of it, and that also helps alleviate if he gets absolutely destroyed, right? So he has at least some tools to make a comeback in some way. Now, the ease of use thing is that back then he used to have more range on his W. When you used your ultimate, the range in your W became immense, which allowed you to make sure you targeted an AD carry who was in a backline or something. The range of your abilities would increase. So you'd be able to snipe people, you'd be able to contribute in fights even when you're getting kited. And that was really good for a jungler. Back then, Nasus wasn't exactly a carry or a tank or anything. He was a support jungler. You were used more for the quality of your abilities and your occasional the occasional time where you could be built or act as a carry of some sort. So he was just so damn good. Probably one of the most overpowered junglers to ever exist. Alright? Or definitely one of the most valuable ones. Now, since then, he's lost the ability to do that crap, but he still has the value in his kit. It's just harder to use. But that in itself was enough to bring him down. Just because he gets kited, and he might not actually have the chance to contribute in fights as at all. Like in most of the, think of this, in a game where a lot of mobile champions, the only way you're going to get a W is if they jump into you. And if they do that, they've already been lost, probably. Anyways, I'm pretty sure you guys also want me to talk about Kindred. I'll let you know one thing about Kindred in this game, or in any game at all. I can't focus on her too much because for whatever reason, she's breaking replays. If you see if you see Kindred use her W and she gets stunned during it, the replay will actually crash. Something bad will happen to the replay, and in fact, you'll see that in this game. It's spoiler alert, I guess. It's just gotta warn you because some funky stuff is gonna happen. Anyways, as far as Kindred goes, I am just meh over her, just meh. She's an okay jungler, as much as I can say. She's got the tools to jungle, but they're not too impressive. They're about on the average side of the spectrum for things. The thing is, the novelty will carry the day for her. She'll become she's a marksman jungler, like the only one who functions adequately at that job. So if for whatever reason a marksman jungler would make sense in your team composition or in competitive or whatever, she'll definitely make a worthy pick. The novelty gives her points for that. And of course, a better player than me might find a build or a tactic with her that makes her far better than I assume she is. So we could wait for that as well. My opinion might change as a result of that. But as of right now, I just think she's okay. She's by no means bad. I'm not telling you she's crap or anything. She's just okay. But the novelty gives her a lot of points for usability. Like, she's got one thing that's a really terrible combination. Her E and her movement speed. She's so slow that she can't cast her E appropriately. She can use her Q to close the gap and her W to lower the cooldown on that. But using that to close the gap instead of damage or to do any moves when you're not actually fighting is not actually appealing. A lot of the champions that have targeted skills usually have a lot of movement speed to back it up, or some other mobility enhancing or mobility debuff on the enemy to help them actually use it properly. So, anyways, back to Nasus. I'm sure you're noticing this. As soon as I get cooldown reduction, I'm actually able to farm up every minion in every camp. Once you get cooldown reduction going, or at least a few ranks on your Q, you start melting camps and your Q starts ramping up quickly. So as long as you don't get shut down early, which again is kind of a huge thing to call for any jungler, honestly, you start snowballing out of control, or at least the value of your Q starts snowballing out of control. With a Frozen Heart and max Q ranks, I'm just eating the crap, well that sounds wrong, eating the hell out of every camp, and now I'm basically become this walking juggernaut of death. There's nothing they can do. As much as they CC me right now individually, they just get absolutely murdered. If I get focus fired and CC, of course I'll die, but individually right now I am way stronger than anyone on the enemy team, and that speaks volumes considering I'm the jungler and considering I'm built mostly tanky. Yes, I have 6 kills, and I'm saying that is playing a huge factor of it. But on someone who, like Nasus, he's one of those champions that exploits this a lot. His snowballing potential is massive because it's just kind of really hard to kill him. His lifesteal, his debuffs, and everything, it's just so chock full of power and value. So now that I'm too strong to kill, and honestly we're kind of just snowballing anyways because we're winning, it's a normal game after all, it's pretty much a done deal. So commentating on this game feels a little dull now. So I'll just kind of talk about more about Kindred and more about Nasus, and occasionally about the game as well. You can see we're not going to finish this game in any timely manner because in normal queue, you know, your friends and you goof off and just kind of let things snowball out of control sometimes, or even throw games. Now, Kindred. She was bandaged to jungle. To make sense of that, a bandage is when a champion or anything in design is just given some traits or qualities to kind of enable it to work. It's just like slapped in there. Okay, she needs this or needs that, just throw it in there. Lissandra having a heal on her ultimate, which seems rather random, is pretty much a bandage to make her sort of work. Darius having a heal on his Q is also pretty much a bandage to make him work out in the jungle. I mean, not jungle at all, because it helps him sustain himself. That's a bandage. It's like it feels out of place and it's there just to give him more functionality or whatever. Tom's passive on his ultimate can be considered a bandage because it's just like, here, have all this value because otherwise you're not really going to be doing much. Kindred sort of feels that way too. They wanted to make a jungle marksman work out, so they gave her everything a jungler wants, and they gave her a lot of free gold on her kit to make sure she doesn't get completely butt-fucked by losing the jungle, and her jungle requirement, as in gold requirement, isn't as extreme as most carries would be. I mean, she's got a health that's a train, by the way. She's got a health chunk on one of her abilities, and she's got a infinite, well, is it infinite? Whatever. She's got a stacking passive that makes her damage increase. It's just, you know, a little bit of artificial boost here and there. It could make sense thematically, but my point still stands. It's a bit of a bandage to make it work out. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, because I mean the novelty is a good thing. It feels nice. Either way, watch this. You can see Vel'Koz is coming, so I'm trying to avoid a full-out slugfest. If me and Yasuo just tried fighting, we'd be dead. So you could have noticed that I was trying to lure them to the spot where Vel'Koz could get in range to blast them both, and we survived this. Hooray for Yasuo and me, and Vel'Koz for the save. Now, as far as Nasus goes, I gave him a C rank in that video because I don't think he's ever coming back as a jungler. He's got, again, utility, and he's got a lot of good qualities and value, but they're not really usable enough or enough to kind of make him come back as a jungler. Like, I can't think of any meta where he would honestly work at this point. He worked at a farm meta and he worked at a teamfight meta before, again, mostly because he could at least tag the enemy carry with his W, and that was enough. You took away so much item value from them, it was ridiculous. So I just can't see him coming back, which is why he's rated a C. He's definitely usable, and in solo queue can maybe win, so you could pick him and not really feel too bad about yourself, but he's just not as good as before. And I hope that's acceptable for some people. When I talked about him being a god jungler in the video, god jungler before, some people were curious and wanted me to explain sort of the history of the champion. So I hope me explaining this kind of is suitable for those people if they're watching this at least. By the way, I love that with the blue buff, you're able just to wither somebody or tag them with blue, get in range to use wither, and then just continue the massacre. It's probably the best of the smite buffs for him because it just increases his power to not get kited. I mean, come on, you need more CC as Nasus because his W, while very strong, is not exactly enough because it's targeted. He has no other forms of increasing his mobility or a chance of casting it. Again, which is why it was a big deal back then. So, look at my build. I got fed enough and I got massive enough to build a Dead Man's Blade, a Frozen Heart, and a Spirit Visage, and now I'm building a Trinity Force. In most cases, if I wasn't as ahead as I am now, I would be building more utility-esque items. I mean, Frozen Heart is utility, but I would have been building the Frozen Fist, I would have been building Randuin's Omen, I would have been building Locket of the Ancillary, although the enemy team in this case, I wouldn't be building it on them. And I forgot the item was called already since I haven't been building it as much. That movement speed tank item, I would have been building that too. You just need a lot of auras as Nasus. Aura Nasus is probably the most safest and most common build from the jungle, mostly because, again, building anything beyond that, except Frozen Heart, the exception, is pretty damn difficult because you'll either not do enough damage or you won't get enough gold, or you won't get enough gold or farm to become anything but a kind of support bot. Now, like in this situation, if I wasn't so fed, I would have died nearly instantly. I mean, I still die, but you can see how long it took for them to kill me. So in a team fight, you can sort of expect that if they focus me, my teammates slaughter them, and if they don't focus me, I beat them to death. That's just kind of the point of Nasus in general, even in lane. And I gotta love this. Zed just comes in and absolutely destroys them, although he gets crit destroyed by the Caitlyn. Yasuo jumps in, kills the Yasuo, Caitlyn kills the other Yasuo, and then Vel'Koz kills the Caitlyn, and then the other Zed doesn't do anything except use his mastery icon to troll. Now, as you can see, this game was a definite stomp. I just wanted to use it to talk about Nasus and talk about Kindred. It's a stomp, and we're just sort of goofing around because we're not really grouping up to finish it. We're all just kind of doing our own thing. I hope you can see how many stacks I have as Nasus. On the replay, it doesn't show it precisely. I had, I believe, over 600 stacks. I'll double check. I'll double check in a bit just so I don't sound like an idiot for just saying that. But yeah, my stacks are massive. In most games, I would only expect to get 2/3 of that. Because, again, you're usually expected to be team fighting, and you're not going to get as much lane CS as I did because my teammates were either dead or just gone, and I managed to steal it. And by the way, here's what we're talking about. You see her W thing flash? So you're going to start seeing pictures not even appear, or at least you already saw something not appear. The end of the game is goofy because of that glitch. Oh, the replay is fucked up worse than this, but look at this. Oh, we got a victory? No, the game was decided and it will now exit, even though you could clearly see the next explode. Either way, hooray for Nasus and Kindred.